example of just the purpose of extending learning and then providing representation. So this is a recent current event. It's called The Tales of Two Schools in Uvalde, and it talks about the background of Uvalde and in terms of segregation and making schools as good as they could be, specifically Robb Elementary. So, Melissa, what was your takeaway from this story? And then I love that connection you had, that you how you would have used it in a classroom.
So English played this for me when we were planning, and I was listening to it, and it tells the story of a teacher who comes from a Hispanic background, and he was the only brown Hispanic teacher in the Uvalde School District back in the early 70s. And it talks about the great effort he put into improving his school, everything from planting trees to improve the landscape along the front of Robb Elementary, so that I'm sorry, it wasn't Robb Elementary, but along the front of his school, so that his school would look like the other schools in Uvalde where most of the white students went, to really building relationships with his students and connecting to his community. And he had great praise for that and was very popular among the community and students and staff until he started pursuing his graduate degree. And then kind of the principal began to feel threatened and really documented him and tried to fire him through the school board meeting and non-renew his contract. And it talks about how the entire community railed against that and came together to support him. And it kind of did this fast forward look, 40, 50 years later, how tall those trees have grown and grown in front of the school, how the teacher is still a part of the community. And it's kind of a retrospective to the deep divisions that happen in Uvalde and how that kind of sets the scene for the current reality and how they responded to the tragedy. The connection that I made, I taught in a 98% Hispanic school. And part of our curriculum every January was the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King. And I immediately thought of my students who, while we were studying this, and of course are very interested in the civil rights movement, one question I would get every year is, well, what about Hispanic people, Miss? Like, where were they in this civil rights movement, and what were they doing, and what about us? And so it was I thought this would be a great, if I were still in the classroom when I got to that unit, I would definitely fold this story in to be able to lift more Hispanic voices into the civil rights movement and share the experiences of people. So every student I taught could connect to the movement that we're teaching and the themes that we're exposing students to. So I think that's a really great example of how Listenwise could be used to supplement, not replace, but supplement the curriculum that's already there in an effort to connect to the experiences our students have today.